Let me paint a picture for you. You're in a military exercise. You're walking through the jungle. And all of a sudden, rounds start cracking high overhead. You don't know what's going on. You see the enemy. And then all of a sudden, 40 Mike rounds start impacting the enemy, taking them immediately out, suppressing them. Now, how does this happen? Through the M320. Now, today I hope to go over the Force Design Plan, what that is, how it incorporates the M320, the pros and cons of the M320, and what exactly is an M320. You see, the last Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major Black, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Berger, at that time period, they decided to come up with the 2030 Force Design Plan. Now this, according to Defense One, citing Sergeant Major Black, was being able to take the larger unit's power and incorporating it more into the warfighter himself. Giving the ability to break down this element into smaller team operation, team size missions, squad size missions, etc. That was the goal of the Force Design Plan, or one of them. Now, how do you do this? With the M320. The M320 fires 40 millimeter rounds, or known as 40 Mike. It is a single shot, break open, standalone weapon. But there are cons that go with the pros. According to Army Mill, the resupply was a problem. The ability to only be limited to so many rounds was a problem. Now, you're asking yourself, well, how do you carry around 40 Mike rounds, which are probably about this size? How do you just carry those around? Well, we would use bandoliers that we could wear across our chest that we'd be able to utilize, that the Army is now utilizing. According, again, to Army Mill, Shaking the Tree article, they are now implementing M320s in their basic training. Now, the Marine Corps is the only branch that utilizes it at a high degree and vastly. It is still being implemented in other branches and is very new. But, like I said, the negatives are the fact that it's a single standalone system that comes with extra weight and, like we were talking about, ammo logistics. Now, this can cause you to have more training. The Army is talking about having a single MOS. Now, that is a military occupation specialist that is for grenadiers specifically, making the M320 their primary weapon system. Now, I do not personally agree with that. From my experience, it was most utilized as a secondary weapon system. But if the Army wishes to do so, then who's going to stop the Army? But there's also a skill dilution, like who has the ability to properly utilize it. If you're making one person specialize in a certain weapon system, then now it's stopping him from learning separate weapon systems, if that makes sense. If as a secondary weapon system, you still have to know your primary weapon system, right? But if it's somebody's primary weapon system, they may not learn another primary weapon system. So the skill dilution does come along with that if you're making it its own military occupation. But like I said, the pros are just too good. It allows organic firepower, right? It's coming from within your team. You're not relying on something else. You're not relying on artillery. You're not relying on air support. You're not relying on mortars. It's coming from within your team. It allows for faster response time, flexible effects. And at the end of the day, you know who's shooting the rounds. You know if they're going to be effective or not. You're going to know your team. So, to me, the positives just far outweigh the negatives of the M320. As it continues to grow and more units use it, they'll add to it. They'll add different sights. They'll add different ways to utilize it. People are starting to be able to take it off and add it to whatever their rifle is. I've seen people do that. It is very effective, very new. It is not as battle tested as M203, which was the system beforehand, but it's being more and more utilized. And it is allowing for the innovation or a bridge between the innovation aspect and the warfighter. In conclusion, we've gone over the force design talk, the M320, the pros, the cons, and I hope it continues to help the squad bring, or it continues to help technology bring the power to the squad, putting the war in the warfighter's hands. Thank you.